Hello friends, welcome. Friends, the CPI inflation data is out and I thought of doing a very short video to explain to you what is the current situation as regards inflation and where we are getting the most of the advantage. So the headline is very simple. The inflation has been driven down to 3.61%, and that was being expected, and a lot of articles were written in the newspaper that the inflation is going to be driven down to a lower level. So if you look at from the 12-month window period, you will find that the inflation is the lowest in the month of February of 3.61%, because this is in basis point, and that's why this is 361. So friends, what I've done is I have categorized all the subcategory items in weighted average, which I always do. By looking at this, so let me just zoom out a bit. Here are the weights, and here is the table of the contribution of the various items. So if you look at, so you can press on it. I have pressed on vegetable. So vegetable, you can get a bar chart here to see how the vegetable weighted average to the overall contribution has fluctuated over this 12 months window period. So you'll find that whenever inflation was high, it was just because of vegetable, because vegetable has contributed significantly. And this month, interestingly, for the combined inflation, the vegetable is -6. So it has contributed, it has dropped down. We have somehow bailed ourselves from vegetable inflation, which is significant, inflation. Which resulted in our inflation going way high than normal. If I take a quarter view, you can understand the impact of vegetable inflation. So the period of FY23 Q3 and period of FY24 Q2, the numbers were quite less. And then from FY24 Q3 till FY25 Q3, the numbers were pretty high. So these are quarter end numbers, right? Earlier also the numbers were low. So you can imagine that the numbers of vegetables, so if I click here, so you'll get this view here right now. You see that it dropped to negative and then it came up. So vegetable is like some ghost. It goes down, it goes down and it comes up. So fortunately this month it has gone down. So it has driven inflation down to 3.61%. But in earlier quarters where the inflation was high, in two periods which was low but not low enough, we actually had cereals and products hitting our inflation bad. So this, if you look at the cereals and product contributions, if I click here, you'll get a bar chart of cereals and products. You can see that it's like a camel hump. It's going down and it's going. So we have been able to bail ourselves from cereal and product inflation. That was the main contributor for inflation here. So you look at this item, which was contributing significantly, and what else are contributing significantly to inflation. This month, oil and fat has started blooming up again. Look at this. Earlier, the numbers were pretty low for the quarter from FY23 to FY25. If you look at this window period, you will find that oil and fat has suddenly started showing, and they are now coming out of water, right? That is going to go up. And then personal care and effect. So good news is that vegetable has pulled down the inflation. Spices have pulled down the inflation. These are all contribution. It is our weighted average contribution to the overall number of 361, because that's how to look at inflation. Because when you are aggregating inflation to the overall aggregated number, you need to consider these weights. You can't simply measure the individual inflation of these items, because the weights are pretty different for each and every subcategory item. You see, weights are pretty different. That is why it is always important to do weighted average. So I always do weighted average, and that's why if you can add all these numbers, you will get to 361. So let's again summarize. Clothing, no problems. Footwear is okay. Cereals and products, somehow fine, but it actually showed a camel hump and then it has gone down, so it's not large. Eggs, fine. Fruits, slightly higher compared to what it was within this quarter. So this is a quarter time scale, right? So which we are choosing. And then oil and fat is becoming a little bit of a problem. Milk products is not an issue. Then pulses, we are under control. Pulses and products, we are in control. Prepare meal and snack is not a problem. Spices, we are doing pretty well. It has pulled down the inflation. Sugar and confectionery, not much. Vegetable is significant, right? It has been a significant drop down, right, under inflation. Fuel and light, we are doing pretty well, no problems on that. Pan and tobacco is not a problem. Housing is okay. Education is also okay, is all same. Health is okay. Household services are okay. Personal care effect a little bit higher. And then recreation ammunition is fine. Transportation is going down. So on a combined weighted average, the items which have pulled down inflation is vegetable, spices, and I think that's all. And yeah, fuel and light also, 9 basis point. And what is pulling up is fruits, cereal and product, and oil and fat, and personal care. Right? Got it? So let's look at the rural dimension and urban dimension also, which will give you a little bit of a better clarity. So if you do rural weighted average, the inflation is rural is higher than what we have combined, which means the urban inflation is still lower. Here, vegetable is positive, though it is low. In urban, it was -6 contribution. It is contributing 6. So vegetable in rural has always been costly. Oil and fat is also going haywire in rural. Cereal products is little higher, and then spices have pulled it down. Personal care is a little higher, and transport and communication this. So let's look at what is going on with urban. So if I do urban weighted average, so let's look at the urban. So here see the number is 3.32%. Here urban, look, vegetable is minus 18 basis point. So urban really we have a big advantage on vegetables. And then we have fuel and light. Housing is okay. It's kind of same. And fruits is little higher. Cereal products is little higher. Oil and fat I have already told you. And then personal care and effects. So overall the inflation is lower on account of two important items, right? One is vegetable, which is inordinate, very, very low compared to what it was in past. And then we have fuel and light, which is in parallel to vegetable has pulled the inflation down. And rest of the inflation has not gone overboard to pull this inflation higher. So 3.32%. So friends, that's all in this video. I don't want to go further, just to give you a little bit of an overview as to go, because inflation is a very important, you can say KPI that we have to look into consideration to watch, because our economy is significantly dependent on inflation, which we have been talking also in past. So that's all friends for your time, and I will come back with a new video next time on a new topic.